A little bit of housekeeping for the record. We opened our meeting at 6:36 this afternoon, and we had 3 board members present. We had 3, Estasso, Fox, and Layton. We approved the agenda. We went into closed session. While in closed session, Ed Porter joined us. So any report out at the end of the agenda on closed session action reflects the presence of Mr. Porter and 4 members. And at the beginning now of our regular session at 7:36 p.m., we are now joined by Matt, so we have a full house. 7.0 public comment, recognition, and reports. Do we have any cards? Anybody in this vast array of public attendance here? Let's see. I don't have any cards. We don't have any cards. Okay, moving on to 8.0 correspondence. 8.1 AATA representatives. Do we have an AATA member in the house? No. 8.2 CSEA. Do we have a CSEA representative? Seeing none. 8.3 student representative. Dale, what is going on at Vasquez High School?
Many things. All right. This week is homecoming spirit week, so we've got a variety of functional activities to raise school spirit. There's things like a nice dog challenge where you have to kind of see how long someone can sit in a block of ice. There's also different days where students will learn different components, crazy days, superhero day. And then tomorrow is going to be a really big pep rally. It's our first pep rally of the year. Football game is also tomorrow. It's against Barnes, the first league game this season. And currently both varsity and junior varsity have been winning all their games. Canteen sales are also expected to rise because we're introducing barbecue sandwiches. And also the fact that it's a homecoming game, there's going to be a lot more people attending, so we'll make profit from that. And if you're all able to go to the game, you go to see the homecoming king and queen. We're going during halftime. JV game starts at 4 o'clock and varsity starts at 7. Saturday is also a homecoming dance, which is taking place right here. And the last dance, there was like a small issue about like inappropriate dancing. So to kind of combat that, AADUSD has started trying to have a more varied genre of dancing. We talked with DJ, and also we've been doing like teaching the kids line dancing and stuff like that during lunch this week. Next week, October 1st is back to school night. It'll be a good way to introduce parents to their children's teachers as well as learn about their expectations. And that's all I want.
Okay, very good. Good luck with the football game and dance.
I'll just give you a quick update. As you know, we're in phase 1, full swing. We are still awaiting DSA approval, even though we are waiting for them. That's not on us, but we expect DSA approval anytime soon. In addition to that, we're in full swing of phase 2, which is the construction of the gym, I should say multi-purpose room and other facilities, associated parking lots, etc. as per consensus agreement last time. That's currently in full swing, and I don't know how many meetings we've had since, but I mean, it's almost a daily effort to make sure that we will meet that deadline. Again, I can assure you we will meet that deadline. Not only will we meet the deadline, if there's some sort of hiccup in any way, shape, or form, say they come in with a price that's exorbitant, that way outside of our boundaries, then we have a plan B, and then probably a plan C, meaning that $14 million, we can account for it in phase 1, and so we feel like there's no possible way that we will not be able to prove that 50% expenditure base. So we're in a good position. We've evaluated it like 6 different ways. We feel like there's no possible way that will happen. So we're really anxious to get those papers filed, get everything taken care of. You should see something. We anticipate having a good set of plans to be able to go out, meaning the bid set of plans, bid docs that we're going to prepare right now. We're in the process, put it out to bid in the month of October. We'll have that information come back to us. We'll be able to vet those bids early November, and then obviously meet that November 16th deadline well in advance of that with guaranteed approval by the board once we have that. So it'll be your Thanksgiving. So that's all I have on construction.
Okay, and what about your regular superintendent report?
Yeah, if you would, there's two things I'd like to kind of bring to your attention. I know recently you may have known or not known, or some of you have seen it. There's the FCMAT report did come out. There's quite a few things in there that we are in the process of, if you will, a rebuttal, and taking a look at it from the terms of, from our perspective. I think the challenge is there's one page, if you will, a summary document that's towards the end. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's page 44 of the document. If you look at that particular page, in essence what that page does is say, well, there's subsequent events that happen that kind of make a lot of the report null and void. Because of the timing and how long it took, and because of our unaudited actuals and the actuals that came out of what we had reported last time, there's a subsequent events page, page 44, that really basically says, you know, a lot of this stuff came out a lot better than anticipated. So it was kind of doom and gloom at the beginning, and towards the end, all of a sudden, whoops, you guys actually did a good job, and what we had reported in terms of our carryover was something they didn't even anticipate. So in addition to that, there's quite a few elements that the cabinet, my cabinet, is currently working on, and we will have a comprehensive response. If it's accurate, we're going to say so. It'll be a pragmatic response based on evidence. It'll have evidence attached to it. I had hoped that they invested a little bit more time in some of the documents that we provided them, and we're going to now point out where and how to find those recommendations, if you will, part of that FCMAT report. So I think that will be, and our attempt is going to be to make sure that that's now published alongside of the FCMAT report. I think, well, fairly so. So we'll see if in fact they choose to do that through LA County. The second thing is I wanted to report, which I think is again monumental for us, is SB 1263. I don't know if you're familiar with that particular Senate bill, but as you know and may know, I've been lobbying pretty hard against that Senate bill. The governor did veto that Senate bill, and it is now obviously killed as far as that bill, which again, it bodes very well for our charter initiative and really puts us in a very good place. However, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the road. That means that it may be round two. It may be another scenario. So we're considering a lot of different things as it relates to that Senate bill. We're ensuring that all of our charter schools are in full compliance, that we have developed, as you well know, an extensive and exhaustive list in terms of oversight and financial oversight, whether it be educational oversight, et cetera, to ensure that each and every one of our charter schools are top-notch. When we get our reports and some of the things, we're going to give you a preliminary report as it relates to our charter schools. I think you'll see that we've been able to attract some really high-quality institutions. Very, very happy with a majority. Not all of them, to be honest with you. There's one or two that are underperforming. But we believe that with some of the things that we've instituted, they're quickly rising to the top, and they will be fine as a starter. And they struggle at the beginning, but through Janet's direction and Megan's direction, and obviously Cabinet, Steve, those folks are coming up very, very quickly. So we anticipate they'll be in full compliance, 100% will be in full compliance by what we call P1 or our first year. So we'll have a full report and tell you where we're at on that. So again, very happy that the governor did veto SB 1263, and we look forward to a very healthy initiative. Yeah, Matt?
I just wanted to ask, when I read that, it's difficult probably to read what's going on behind the scenes. It was carefully worded to sort of not offend anybody too much. It referred specifically to the issue of the retrospective nature of things, which of course was the worst part of it. But I didn't necessarily read in there that, well, it was a short-term victory for sure. But behind the scenes, where do we think the governor's headed with this? Because you could read in it, oh, I'm just going to adjust a little bit of the language and then it'll be okay. Or do you? Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like, you know, the next step might be a month from now it does go through. I don't know if the assembly process.
It'll be another year.
The It's a year? Okay. So, you know, is it really just a year where we get a break and yet the governor probably is going to sign it, or is there more going on here?
Well, from my understanding, again, as you know, we have some folks that are lobbying, and I've talked extensively. I'm also trying to get a meeting with the governor myself, and I invited Mark, and hopefully Mark and I can go to Sacramento and talk to the governor himself. Whether or not I'll meet with us yet, I don't know, so I want to get a better lay of the land. Secondly, you know, it does indicate in there that, you know, obviously there's going to be some additional discussion about that and some potential of his team, whatever that means. I know, and I've also talked to Senator Knight personally. He had some really good ideas, and I think mainly why I think it's important to know either Steve Fox or Senator Knight is simply because they are what I would consider more influential in this particular region as opposed to Senator Pavley. Senator Pavley's more in the Thousand Oaks, even though she does have a small segment. Senator Knight, the majority of his position is there. I think that was a large piece as well, to be honest with you. And so we'll be working with Senator Knight and potentially draft some language that will help suffice in terms of covering some of the concerns of the governor and his staff. I did talk to Senator Knight. He believes that we'll be able to possibly do that. There may be an amendment to some of the particular law that's out there now. Again, hypothetical, we'll see how this works. And then lastly, I think ultimately, this is not the only district that is in the particular predicament we're in now. And it's namely small school districts. Small school districts across the state, whether it be up in Shasta County, there's some issues, down in San Diego County, some of the Indian tribes are having some of the similar issues. So I think across the state, it's not just about Acton-Octon-Olson. Even though, yes, we ended up being the poster child for some of the folks, but in no way, shape, or form is it about us entirely. So this is going to be a statewide issue, and I think, you know, ultimately, we'll be able to craft some language with Senator Knight that hopefully will pass. And then we are, I guess, welcoming of any additional oversight. We fully believe we're in compliance. We've done everything proper according to the law. We've been able to prove that multiple times, and you know, we'll go from there. So that's pretty much where I think we'll end up.
Okay.
I also think that from after speaking with Dr. Woodard, I started to do some reading on the issue in terms of who was in support of and who was against this Senate bill. It would appear that the governor felt that the way this particular law was structured, proposed law, is that it was going to hurt too many districts. And I think one of our biggest group of friends in this are the Indian tribes, who are very active in charter school participation, and they were not happy with the prospect of this bill passing and what could happen to them. So I think the governor was looking at it from a holistic perspective, and thank God applied some critical thinking and reasoning to the issue and said, this isn't really the law that's going to work on this. And I think he carefully crafted it. So he didn't say this, but from my perspective, this law was punitive against the Acton-Octon Unified School District. It read as if it was punitive, and the governor wasn't about assigning the law something that was going to be punitive. So if it's going to happen, you know, my hope is that there's going to be some retroactivity that finally gets recognized here. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of school districts, as Brad said, that are going to be hurt by it. Ed?
Just a couple of quick things. I want to give some feedback on the French teacher. I think it's a great program that we have, and I think we should provide a teacher for that. I've been asking for more languages for years now. I think it's been a great success so far. The other thing I wanted to bring up is last Sunday, I went to a gathering at Scott Wilkes' home, Assemblyman Scott Wilk, and Senator Steve Knight was also there. I had talked to Mr. Scott before going there to see if there were any issues. We wanted to bring it up to the school board, and I talked to them also Fox, and also Norman. And so they have been receptive of that suggestion, and we're trying to make it happen. But, of course,
Yeah, I forgot to mention Scott Rowe was instrumental in Senate Bill Tossing. Yeah, so absolutely.
So it was a very nice kind of meeting, and I think I'd like to ask Mark to maybe articulate what angle you think we have by having all those people together.
Well, this is going to be, in many respects, redundant for our state elected officials that represent this area, because they have been present, they have been engaged with our supervisor. They have all made comments about concerns. And so there have been community meetings with those representatives. But my thought process behind it is to have yet another meeting with them to specifically focus on the school district and make sure that they're understanding the full projected impact of that project on the school district. It is completely tied to the damage that will do to the district, or to the community. But that they've heard ad nauseam. But I want to make sure they understand that that damage that's caused in the community is going to have a direct causal effect, negative effect on the school district. To include safety issues, Title V issues, student attendance issues, the ability for this community to have a housing base that can either manufacture the kids that go to school here.
I don't know, Mark, you want to look at the rail study again? You want to revive that? And it shows, I mean, there's some EMS type concerns.
I think you need to present all of that to them so that they have another angle to view this project from the eyes of the school district. And I think as a government entity, and we are the only true government entity in this area, minus Subtract County, I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to have our own meeting with these individuals and to represent line by line all of the issues that are going to impact the school district. And it doesn't matter whether they're Democrat or whether they're Republican. This transcends party line. And we need to look at it from a community base, from an educational perspective. And they may or may not intuitively understand the damage, but I still think we have an obligation to formally meet with them on the record and present our issues. And unfortunately with the rail authority, and it's not the fault of the engineers, they're engineers, and they don't immerse themselves or concern themselves with governance and public policy. What they do is draw a line with a T-square and an angle and get a calculator out and use math and figure out what's the fastest, cheapest way to build this thing. And if it ends up going to the middle of the west wing of the White House, so be it. This is the best way to make this happen. And so there's not enough politics and representative government associated with this thing. And it's very clear that the rail authority, that group, that appointed group, haven't been sensitive to the issue. So I just think it's our responsibility to meet with them and have a conversation with them, just so that we can say we met our responsibility to do so and to present our. So that was my thinking behind it.
They're very receptive to like that meeting, so it's just the logistics of what's going on.
Okay.
That's it.
Do you have anything else? Matt, did you have anything?
Just quickly, I wanted to say that I was nervous to come to the meeting for fear that I might jinx all of the good momentum that you have. All I had to do was miss a meeting here, and been built, and the governor vetoes stuff, and your enrollment numbers are up.
You should miss more meetings.
I know. I'd be happy to meet that obligation.
Can I join you?
No.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Congratulations to all of you. That's very exciting.
Mike?
No, the only thing I'd like to add is, with respect to what's going on in the classrooms, or certainly where I see it, because I have kids at VHS, we did lose some good teachers this year, and I look forward to there's some rebuilding that has to happen. Specifically, in the languages, that was one area where things were a little bit flux because we introduced a new program. Unrelated to the introduction of that new program, of course, we lost our Spanish teacher, and so I think you guys are working on getting another one. But I would say I'm working up to some positive feedback as we try to refill that role so that our classroom taught Spanish has a full-time teacher in it. I do have a child who's, because of the program that we've implemented, is taking not only her third year of Spanish, but also taking her first year of German. So not unlike, now hers is the computer-based, and I'll be the first to tell you how that goes. But it is successful in the context that students can use their electives to double up on additional language choices in this example if they so desire. So I look forward to seeing how that comes out.
I wanted to thank publicly Brent and Steve and Megan for meeting with me last week. This was 2.5, close to 3 hours, and I know that's a big chunk out of any given staff member day. So I appreciate the time that they gave to sit down and examine the FCMAT report. And I was actually quite pleased to see that by reading their documents that looked almost the same as mine, and we were pretty much on the same page without even having to meet, really, as to how we should respond to it. So anyway, I appreciate everybody's time in reference to that. And I choose to call it VHS Sports and Community Arts Conference. Sounds better than VHS.
Okay, whatever you want, sir.
But we can figure out the details later. With nothing else, we'll move to consent. 9.0, 9.1 through 9.3. Do we have a move?
Move. Second.
Any discussion on consent? Call question?
Aye.
10.0 Education Student Services. 10.1 Oxford Preparatory Academy, LA County Charter. It's recommended the board accept the surrender of the Oxford Preparatory Academy, LA County Charter as it relates to Resolution 13-14.61. Is that a move?
Second.
Did you want to present any background or anything on this?
We can. I just tell you that I have talked with their leadership staff. They have some internal control issues that they are trying to retool their organization. At some point, this may be coming back to you, but it may look different. Put it that way. They're retooling their organization. They may not want to go in this direction. I think is their issue.
Okay. All right, very well. Any comments on the part of the board? Call question?
Aye.
Aye. So surrendered. 11.0, Personnel Services. 11.1, Resignation, Release of Classified Employees. We have one employee number 145040, Instructional Aid in High Desert. Second.
I'll second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
Aye. 11.2, Approval of Certificated Employment. We have two employee numbers and positions, one biology, one RSP, but both for Vasquez High, general and special education. Do we have a move?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Mr. President, just to make sure everyone knows, these positions, are budgeted. They have been in the budget. They're not outside or additional positions in excess of what we previously had.
Okay. I'm very glad to see that we have found that as well. Any discussion? Call the question? Aye. 11.3, approval of consultant agreement with EM Consulting Services for fiscal support services, and this relates to our charter school initiative. Do we have a move?
So,
Second? Any background conversation? Right. I just want to say for the record that this is meeting one of the asks of the county for oversight of charter schools. You see it in all their documents, the need to have additional oversight and that sort of thing. So this action is directly related to providing that oversight that the county is.
So with that, though, I think it's important to note, Mark, along those lines, this is also in the budget. This is also part of what we had previously agreed on in the budget study session.
Right.
And so this is not another employee. So we're not adding to the scope of employees, and it will be out of the charter school funding. Specifically relating to fiscal oversight under the direction of Dr. Bergeron.
Any board comments? Call the question? Aye.
aye.
12.0 business and financial. 12.1 declaration of public hearing of district's initial contract proposal for negotiations with the CSEA, chapter 473, per government code 3547. We're going to open this hearing at 8:05. Part of a public hearing is to have public comment, but I have no cards. I don't see any hands or anyone burning to comment on this matter. So
This is the same language that you were presented with last time, so nothing's changed. So the public has had, 2 weeks to take a look at it.
okay. So seeing and hearing no public comment, we will close the hearing at 8:06. Move to 12.2, adoption of district's initial contract proposal for negotiations with CSEA, according to government code section 3547. Do we have a move?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay. And does staff have any comments on it? Anything?
It's the same thing as the AADA, the sunshine last time.
Okay. Any comments by the board? Call the question. Aye.
Nay.
12.3, declaration of public hearing, district's initial contract proposal for negotiations with the AATA, Teachers Association, per government code 3547. We're going to open this hearing at 8:07. This is the time for the public to weigh in regard to the initial contract proposal. I have no cards. I see no hands. Anyone interested in commenting? So we will close the hearing also at 8:07. And move to 12.4, adoption of the district's initial contract proposal for the AATA according to Government Code 3547. We have a board move.
So moved.
I'll use Ed Porter as a move. And Matt as a second. Any comment on the part of staff? Anything? Any comments on the part of board members, either for or against? Hearing none, call the question. Aye.
Nay.
Future agenda items. We have nothing listed under future agenda items. I don't know if we've
We've exhausted that list.
have we exhausted that list?
Last one was
Okay, this is government. That should never happen. We should have more things that we are just continuing to delay and put off. So this can't be possible. So
You want something? I can find you something.
I'm red marking this right now.
Want to change
So this is not the way government is supposed to act.
Is that right?
Okay, this is not the expectation of the electorate to not have any future agenda
Are
items.
we up to date on our board policies?
Probably.
Does that help you, Eddie?
You like the budget for that? I'd be happy
No,
with that.
no.
I'm having trouble hearing. I think it was Larry just coughing. So I will move on to 14.0 calendar.
There's a typo there, I think.
Yeah. Where? What?
I don't think we're gonna come 25th.
23rd.
It's supposed to be 23rd, I believe.
Okay, so for the record, it's October 9th and October 23rd, which will be regular board meetings. Any other calendar items to discuss? Moving to 15.0 closed session. Report of action taken in closed session. Now we moved and voted inside. It's showing that we need to move and vote, but we don't need to do this out here.
That's a report. You say who moved it second.
Do we know who moved the second?
Yeah, I moved and I second.
Okay. So we did have a discussion in closed session in regard to the superintendent's contract. As the public should know by now, a portion of his salary is predicated on performance base and whether or not he meets identified goals that the board sets for the superintendent. We discussed 4 goals that had been created for him for 13-14 school year. It was moved by Ed Porter and seconded by Mike Fox. Matt was absent from the meeting. And at a 4-0 vote, we moved to approve that the superintendent met the 4 goals that were set for him and moved that he be so compensated. 16.0 adjournment. Do we have a vote?
I'll vote. I'll second.
We have a call. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
I really feel like I'm in the twilight zone.
We are adjourned at 8:11.